How's it going today, Paul?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I think we are currently on, is it the third or fourth month of a worldwide pandemic? Is that right?
Yeah, I think fourth, man. It's been going since like March.
Yeah, I mean, when this ends, if it ends, this will be like hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
No kidding. It's bizarre to see how it is right now. It's so many little post-apocalyptic feeling moments that happen every day.
Absolutely, and this is not quite the zombie apocalypse that I anticipated.
Right.
Have you gone and roamed around the deserted streets? We all know things are deserted, but it's a trip to actually go out and see it yourself.
Yeah, I have a little bit. I've sort of biked around this area of Indianapolis. It's a little freaky.
And now you have a new album that came out in May. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
And it's really good. I really like it. You must be stoked.
Thank you. Yeah, we are, man. It took a really long time to put out. In progress for about 3 years. We're very, very excited to finally have it out.
And Valley of the Kings is the title. It's part of a trilogy. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And how did you settle on that particular name?
It's a good question. The Valley of Kings is a final destination for the storyline. So, kind of, I had like this mental image of the end scene for the albums, the ending sequence. And so sort of worked it backwards from there. But also it was, partially inspired by the Egyptian Valley of Kings I think it's in Luxor, but that sort of atmosphere from the Egyptian one, it just really stuck out to me and seemed like just like such a cool and somber place. So there's something that we sort of wanted to emulate.
And what went wrong as the first single? What has the response been like?
Very good. We've been really, really happy about the reception. Like I mentioned, it took a long time to put this record out, so we were a little bit worried that people would forget about us or they wouldn't care about the record by the time it came out. But the first single just had a really overwhelmingly positive response, so that was very reassuring to us.
Now, it looks like you have released something every year since 2014. Does that sound right?
You say every year?
Well, I looked at your Bandcamp page, and it looked like there was a sequence of releases from 2014 to now.
Yeah. Yes, we started the trilogy way back then in 2014. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird feeling to have it be over, honestly, just because we've been working on it for so long. But it was a really fun process to write interlocking storylines and characters that transcended, multiple albums. It was just like it was personal in some ways and very fun overall.
And some of your releases are instrumental only, is that right?
Yeah, we put out the instrumentals for our first two records, and we'll follow suit for the third record once the timing is right. But that's just like something that we've seen bands do that we enjoy, so we figured we might as well put it out there for anyone who is interested.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Thanks for putting that out like that. Because,
yeah, of course. Thanks for listening.
And Fantasy Core is what you're calling yourself. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
And why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? It's a lot easier to say than modern melodic metalcore with fantastical lyrics,
What was the music scene like where you're from? Are there any other bands from your neck of woods that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, actually, there was a band that was on Sharp 10 Records called Exit Wounds that's from Indianapolis as well that we're friends with. There's a lot of like good bands around here. Torn Confidence, Glass Hands, our buddies in King's Gambit from Annika also. The music scene in Indianapolis is good. It's a little bit sort of in favor of like pop and hardcore, I would say. It's like anything. It's a good place to grow up in and experience shows in, but it's a small city in musical terms, right? Like it's not Nashville, it's not Sacramento. It's Indianapolis. So when we tour, we always look forward to playing places outside of Indianapolis.
Have you made your way out to Sacramento?
We have not. No, we really want to.
And how did you hook up with Sharp Tone Records? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. The owner of Nuclear Blast sent us a Facebook message on our band page a couple of years ago. And we actually thought it was like a scam bot at first because I don't know, it just didn't seem real. It didn't seem like that's where he would contact us. But sure enough, he put us in touch with Sean over at Sharp Tone, and we had a few phone conversations with him to sort of figure out if it was a good fit. And before we knew it, we were working on a record on the roster.
And you are in good company over there.
Absolutely. We love the Sharp Tone roster. Like Don Broco, Currents, Crystal Lake. Amir, Reteam Romans, man, we've been listening to them for years. So it's really kind of surreal to be included in that.
To be part of that family, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And which of the socials do you like the most and dislike the most?
Me personally, it feels kind of old school, but I like Facebook the most because it's versatile. Like you can do picture, video, text, links to websites. And I dislike Twitter the most. I just have never really gelled with the layout. I find it like a little bit jarring, but I know that the exact opposite way the world is working, so I force myself to work with Twitter and diversify. But yeah, I wish Facebook was better. I wish it was less spammy.
Yeah, don't we all? And
right.
How did you become a drummer, and what other instruments are you proficient in?
I started back in high school when I was a junior in high school. And basically, that's when I first started listening to music sort of on my own, was right around then, and really got into the metalcore scene. And so I asked my parents for a drum kit for Christmas, and they got me like an electronic one so that it wouldn't make a ton of noise in the house. And I learned on that, and then just sort of watched YouTube videos and, browsed around online and then tried to play along with songs until it kind of worked. Before that, I played trumpet from 5th to 11th grade in school, and I'm trying to learn guitar, so very slowly picking those up, but drums are still like the main instrument that I play.
What artists with a message have made you change in any particular way, and what was that change?
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. I think... So there's a record by a group called Make Them Suffer. The record was called Never Bloom. And it was the first album that I really, really loved that was thematic and conceptual. And lyrically, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So that record sort of changed my perception on what could be accomplished with music, changed the way that I thought about music as a medium. So I would have to say Make Them Suffer is definitely one of them. And Seothin is the same kind of for me. They're a very different sounding band. They're post-hardcore, but, especially from a drumming perspective, Seothin's drums are phenomenal, and they're put into this band where, it's a lot of almost busy drum work, but it fits the attitude of the music, and it works really well. So where a lot of bands would have cut out a bunch of fills, they kept them all, and it's, still one of my favorite records to this day is their self-titled record, and that was the first album I ever bought on CD.
Do you read reviews of music, film, and food? And if so, how often do they influence what you buy, watch, or where you eat?
I think reviews about media do pretty heavily affect what I will buy. So, if I watch somebody's album review, for example, I'm way, way more likely to go check out the album. Probably less so with food. I think food for me is very recommendation-based per my friends. So if I have a friend recommend a spot, I'll check it out. But aside from that, I sort of just don't really pay attention to reviews and food. But also, with movies, if I have a friend recommend a movie, I'll definitely watch it. I guess I'm probably more recommendation heavy than I am review overall.
Does it bother you to hear artists express their opinions on subjects outside of music, such as politics? And do you like their art any less if you disagree with them?
I wouldn't say I like their art less. I think, like, this is not just for the music industry, but I think in general, being informed and competent in something before speaking on it should be a natural order of process. So it kind of, I don't know, I don't see any reason. So, for example, when actors talk out about certain political things, if they aren't politically educated, then I don't see why I should listen to them, over anybody else. So I prefer people that are experts in their fields to be the ones giving opinion and dissecting different things. But, I also, I can disagree with somebody and not sort of project that against them personally. So if I have a different political view than an artist, I don't mind that. I can still listen to their music, no problem.
What was the first music you bought with your own money? What was the first rock and roll T-shirt you owned? And what would be your most prized music collectible?
The first music I bought with my own money was Seosin's self-titled record. The first shirt, I think, was an Of Mice and Men T-shirt from Warped Tour. And then I have a set of drumsticks from Tim Madden, who was the original drummer for Make Them Suffer. And I think that's my most valued collectible piece of memorabilia because he was like a really inspirational drummer for me. And I saw that band in Columbus, which was kind of a miracle because they're from Australia and it was very difficult for them to get overseas. Multiple tours fell through for them that they were supposed to tour in North America, but they finally made it over. I saw them, and I talked to Tim for a long time after the show, and he just gave me a set of his signature drumsticks just for hanging out, and that memory has always stuck with me. He's just a super cool guy.
That's very cool. Well, excellent. Well, Paul, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. We look forward to seeing you out on the road when that road opens up to all of us, of course. Give me final thoughts that you might like to share with anybody that might be listening to this.
Thanks so much for having me on, man. New record, Valley of Kings, is out. We're called The Wise Man Sphere, and we've got 3 music videos out for it on the Sharp Turn Records YouTube channel. So check those out if you're interested. But other than that, just keep an eye on social media. We'll have some new content sooner than later.